podcast. We have so much to get to today, and for the first time in a long time, I believe we are streaming over on Rumble, like the great Zay Unfiltered, who has crossed over 4,000 Instagram followers today. So congratulations to him. Maybe he'll reach 10,000, like all the other people have as well. If there's great content that's over on Rumble. So yeah, we're streaming to YouTube and Rumble today. So let's go check on TheTechBoy.org to see what our tech headlines are when we're doing an AMA, and of course we're going to be talking about evangelical technology. So, but first let's talk about the what's going on the TechBoy.org. All right, artificial intelligence art was illegally eaten in a viral case, which is extremely weird. This is one of the weirdest stories that we reported on the techboy.org. And I honestly have a lot to say about this. So this person, apparently, you guys can go read the article or watch the video that I put up on Instagram. I got a lot of backlash on that, of course, because there are people, of course, on the internet who do not like artificial intelligence and make it their entire goal to dislike artificial intelligence and to hate it. But this person made an artificial intelligence art exhibit, and he was against the artificial intelligence art. That's what the exhibit was. I guess it's supposed to just show display how artificial intelligence art is a bad thing or something. And this guy misinterpreted the art piece, which just goes to show that art can be very subjective and has many hidden meanings, I guess. And people don't even know what art is anymore. And because this happened, he started eating the painting, and obviously that's a crime. So the first time in the technical media history, we had to defend someone who's anti-AI art, because I don't care if you're anti-AI or pro-AI, your work should never be eaten by a person. I can't believe I had to say that on camera. That is utter ridiculous that's happening over there. And that's what we've seen with these insane AI hysteria. Now, Matt Walsh, one of the people who is anti-AI, but far smarter than this person, obviously, because he is anti-AI in a way without having to go around and eat other people's work, is claiming that artificial intelligence is going to be bad because the movies in Hollywood are just going to be using artificial intelligence, and the single man will not be able to rise up against horrible Hollywood, as he calls it, and be able to make their own products. It will just only fire a whole bunch of people who work in Hollywood, and will put them out of a job, and how it's not real art because it wasn't made by a human. Now, other than will put people out of a job part, who cares if it is or isn't human made? Like I've said multiple times, when I'm watching a TV show, when I'm watching a movie, I don't care who made it. I don't really care how it was made. What I care about is it good or not? But that's not what I want to talk about today. I want to talk about how artificial intelligence is a good thing, obviously, but I don't really understand why Matt Walsh cares so much about this. In his uh, video, he was talking about how it would basically only allow the elites in Hollywood to make the movies much faster and cheaper, and it wouldn't let the single man be able to do it because the elites in Hollywood apparently control all the distributions. They have to theaters, they have all of the means of production, etc. And I don't really get what his point is. I mean, they still control the theaters right now. They still control the means of production. They still control the distribution, right? If I were to make a movie with no artificial intelligence right now, go outside and make a movie, it's not going to be hitting any theaters. It's not going to be hitting the streaming services that he was talking about. I'd have to upload it and publish it myself and promote it myself aggressively, and maybe take out my own advertisements and maybe hire some famous people who aren't in Hollywood anymore to help them to help push the movie. It's the same thing. If I were to use artificial intelligence, I'd still have to do the same thing. I'm not really seeing what the change is. Is he saying that people shouldn't make movies because Hollywood controls the movie industry and thus you shouldn't try to become independent? I mean, if that is his opinion, that is a fine opinion. Of course, I disagree with that as well. And obviously, I know he disagrees with this because he makes movies. It is his passion to make movies. And sure, he does work for a large company than me, obviously, but his company is still relatively small compared to, say, Paramount or Netflix. He still has to go in there and put in the work. So it's this black backlash against artificial intelligence is basically something that people have picked up as a personality trait. It's not something that they actually care about. When you talk about the water that artificial intelligence uses. Now, sure, we can solve that problem. There are ways that we can solve this problem. In fact, with artificial intelligence, maybe we can have AI solve the problem itself. That would be very useful. But the problem with that is that they don't actually care about the water usage, because any cursory look at this means the water is just going to be reused. Artificial intelligence uses less water than agriculture. Water comes out of the sky, and when it goes down, it evaporates and goes up. And you go check my Instagram comments, someone's like, "Oh, this the evaporated water can't be used anymore." Have you heard of the water cycle? The water cycle is essentially water comes down, you use it, it goes into the ground or whatever, and then it gets evaporated back up into the sky. And then God purifies it through, the rocks and the sky, etc. That's literally what the water cycle is. There is not less water on Earth today than there was 6,000 years ago, except for all the water that we, sent to space. But that's like what, a few gallons in the grand scheme of things. The amount of water that we have is relatively the same amount of water that we have now, and will always be that, and will always have that, and will always be that we have now. Water does not grow on trees; it's not keep getting recreated. However, water is not really getting destroyed as well. So they don't actually care about water. When we talk about the RAM chips, they'll post some stupid meme that says TSY RAM costs $900 a stick. Now, I'm not sure if that's true or not. I don't think RAM costs $900 a stick, but sure, let's assume that RAM costs $900 a stick. No one has been able to answer my question. I've been asking this for months for now. No one's been able to answer my question. What are you going to be using RAM for? The only real answer that I've been able to see is video games and maybe Chrome tabs. I have a lot of Chrome tabs open on my computer. And these web apps, I don't know what they are doing, but some of these applications using half a gigabyte of RAM, a third of a gigabyte of RAM. That makes zero sense. Why are you using so much RAM? There's zero reason for these tabs to be using this much RAM. And what they're sure is hopefully the developers and these website creators create better more efficient websites and services, because there's no reason that Chrome should be hogging up all this RAM. It's not just Chrome, it's other browsers as well. I know Chrome is seen as RAM happy, but it is the most efficient, no, not the most efficient, but it is the best browser on desktop, bar none, right? And the European Union and these other organizations should not be trying to force Microsoft and Google to basically force you to choose the browser that you want. Because, like I've talked about before on this podcast, multiple Windows is on multiple computers. Edge is the default option, and yet the number one search on Bing is download Chrome, Google. So the people have spoken. The people have decided that they want Chrome, and Chrome is obviously the best choice for the users. And I don't think there should be any legislation that impacts that. The only legislation that I would like to see with artificial intelligence, of course, is making sure that people aren't eating it. That would be nice. But let's get to our next topic from the TechBoy.org. Other than the illegally eaten artificial intelligence art piece, that's just something that you don't see every day happening. Let's talk about the local news is in bad shape. More Americans turn to ChatGPT. Local news is a disaster. You go to any location, any major city in the United States of America, and local news is extremely boring. It doesn't really affect you. Like, yes, someone getting shot on the side of the road is unfortunate. It is sad, and we should go out and find the person who did it and arrest them. But I mean, it doesn't really affect you. It's not really an interest to you as well. And it's basically full of stories like that as well. Stories that are not interesting, stories that don't really affect you, and stories that no one knows how you got them. It's just basically either finding the police reports, or they're going out and they're not really reporting on anything interesting. They're just reporting on, oh, this happened. It's not that fun. It's not that interesting. And to make matters worse, there's only a few networks, ABC, Fox, CBS, that have the local news websites, and they're all tied to the local television stations. Nothing really independent, or it's kind of hard to find something that's independent. And if it is, it's mostly skewed and filled with propaganda. And then when on the major websites, ABC, CBS, Fox, etc. What do you see on this? Ads, ad riddle. And I like advertisements. I'm a big fan of advertisements, but I do not like advertisements that make it impossible to use said website. That's a bar too far. And when you look at the websites, the web design is stuck either 2002 or 2014. The web design has not kept up with the times. And it's even worse on radio station websites, which are horrible. The field of advertisements, the news articles are kind of slow and laggy, etc., which is why we're seeing more Americans turn to ChatGPT for the local news. Like I said, the news really doesn't affect you, so they're not going to sit there and watch broadcasts for maybe 30 minutes. They're not going to sit there and read through some news articles for 15 minutes. And these aren't the best news articles. They're not high quality, in depth, interesting news articles. These are some news articles that are just, oh, someone got shot. Oh, there was a theft at this location. Oh, thus and so happened. again, not really interesting, doesn't really affect you. They're very short, right? You can basically get all the information that you're seeing from the headline itself. So it's not that useful to you as a person, and that's not good for the news industry because they need people clicking on, they need people reading the advertisements, they need all of that happening. Hopefully, you guys can see this on the screen. I don't know why it's not loading. Let's see if I can pull it up again. They need people reading and engaging with their advertisements, and they're probably not going to fail. I mean, it's Fox, ABC, they'll be fine. But the smaller publishers, if they exist in your town, might go away, and that might be unfortunate. But this is what ChatGPT is doing. They have a new partnership with Axios, which is a news website, to help drive more local coverage. But what we're seeing from these reports is that OpenAI says it's received over 1 million prompts related to local news. About 7% of Americans are now using a chatbot for news each week. ChatGPT is the big one in this game. However, this is up. We were seeing a few last year, I believe, 1% only got news from artificial intelligence. Now it's 7%. And now it's, even though it's in the minority, I mean, it does make a lot of sense. I like the application Perplexity a lot. Sometimes it's kind of replace Google, not completely. I just ask it a question, it can answer the question sometimes. Artificial intelligence chatbots across all spectrums, from Grok to Gemini, all are very yappy, right? You ask them a question, they'll give you an entire essay. For the people who are talking about, oh, it's wasting water, why don't you go after that? Just answer the question, make it direct and to the point, not answering the question like you're on C-SPAN or Capitol Hill or something that you're trying to avoid, evade the questions. I'm really good at evading questions. No one is better at evading questions than me, quite frankly. I've evaded so many questions in high school, answering them in the SSA LTW style. That's not what I want to see from artificial intelligence unless I tell it to emulate me. If I'm telling it to go out and emulate me, then absolutely that's what I want to see. But Perplexity has its own news feed. Perplexity has a tech and science news feed that I like to follow, sometimes get some talking points for the podcast on there, some things that we can talk about. It has stuff about SpaceX. It has stuff about Elon Musk. It has stuff about some bills that are coming in, stuff about Tesla, stuff about hacking, etc. I'm just scrolling on here, and it's very fluid as well. All you do is you turn the screen, swipe, swipe, swipe. It's kind of like a smarter version of uh, TikTok, except it's TikTok for intelligent people, not TikTok. I just want to sit there and I guess watch people do some TikTok dancing. Which I finally saw it, guys. I finally saw it. I saw someone actually do a TikTok dance. I didn't get to ask them a question. Speaking of, I have this microphone here. We got a microphone, and you can see the camera quality is a lot better than the camera quality that we're used to. And thank you to my Amazon gift cards. We're going to be going out there and doing some interviews with this lavalier microphone. Hopefully, we can get some good content, see what people are using technology for. Because, this company, like we were talking about with journalism, we'll get back to that. Journalism is unfortunately dying. Like we were saying, the content is extremely boring. And because it doesn't really connect with you, and I want to go out there and connect with you, my fans, and talk to people, see how people actually really perceive the world. Maybe we can find out how they themselves go out and get their news sources. Maybe I'll do that right after this podcast or finish this airing. But back to Perplexity, these people have coded the application to allow it to find sources on the website, find information that I'm actually interested in, and then it'll use Perplexity to generate the article for it, but then we'll source them in here. So here's an article about ChatGPT Go. The headline: OpenAI begins testing ads on ChatGPT's free tiers in the United States. It goes through 38 sources. And the good thing about this is it lists all the sources from Digiday to LinkedIn to AdWeek, The Verge, cancel them, of course, Axios, Two Type, SiliconANGLE, Magnum and CBS News. And, about 5 of those I haven't even heard of before. So if I'm going to go in and read their articles themselves and find new websites to read, enjoy, and explore, because there's nothing more I like doing than reading. And finding books is pretty hard. Sometimes using Perplexity can help, but finding these websites that you have never heard of before is really useful. MSN now, not the news station, MSN back before like in the 90s and the early 2000s, they had their own little news feed and news portal, and Yahoo has that as well. Edge has that as well. And it's all basically, I hate this word, but it is true. It is all slop news. It's all slop feeds. It's not very interesting. It's like TMZ. Oh, this celebrity did something. Oh well, I don't care. Okay, how is that relevant to me or my life? It's not. The only thing I care about celebrities doing is if the celebrity is in my niche. Let's say a celebrity is a reporter or in technology, or if they're commenting on technology or anything that I like to comment about, maybe I can react to them, or maybe I can see how they got into their job. Let's say you're a news anchor, all right? Let's see how they got became a news anchor. That's what I'm interested in. I'm interested in behind the scenes deep dives, of course. But that's unfortunate because there's a hard time to find long form content. Of course, all this long form content that we see on the internet is all skewed towards one ideology. And I don't like that. I'm fine with reading things that disagree with my ideology, but not all the time. I mean, it's annoying. And if you try to push back on this, talk about especially on the cesspit known as Reddit, where you have people who have IQs of a bunny, it's over for you. It's completely over. But that's why I like Perplexity, Search all these applications, sorry, these news websites, these news feeds, and Chrome. I think Google could do a better job of that. I mean, Google News does have an interesting feed. Sometimes it shows you stuff, but it's basically some of the same websites overall. But back to our Perplexity article about ChatGPT Go. Once it shows you all the sources, 38 in this, it basically gives you a breakdown, some bullet points about this. So it gives you a bullet point. OpenAI launched ad testing on ChatGPT February 6th for US adults on free and go tiers, charging advertisers $60 per thousand views. $60 per thousand views. That sounds expensive. Yeah, $60 per. Yeah, you should just advertise in high school newspaper at that point, guys. Advertising a Tomball high school newspaper does not cost that much money. Now, granted, Tomball high school newspaper only gets about 33% readership, so it's like what, 1,000 people? But still, it did not cost me $60 to put one ad in Tomball high school newspaper. So yeah, I'm not really sure about this. It says that the early partners include Home Depot, Dell, and rival Antiphonic is counting with Super Bowl ads, promising its Claude chatbot will remain ad-free, calling the approach more trustworthy. And that is our third story from TheTechBoy.org. What you're noticing here is that from our news website here, TheTechBoy.org, we're having to do more news style articles and going in basically to other websites that do long form and breaking it down for you guys to make it more explainable. I was using more statistics as well, using what's it called? Some statistics website. I forgot what it's called. Oh, Pew Research. That's what it's called. Using all these news websites and statistics and aggregators to help make my website articles run. Because unfortunately, up until today, we have not really seen or experienced any new technology, and I still have to push out new articles every day or every other day. I still have to have stuff to talk about on this podcast, and I still like engaging, interacting with my fans. So there's only 3 topics that we have to talk about today, but we're still going to be on for about an hour and a half. So if you guys have any suggestions or recommendations, leave them in the chat. Tell them. Maybe we can have a video to react to. Joe Slip says, "Hey, yo, what's up, Tech Boy? Well, thank you for joining the stream. It's nice to get back into streaming today instead of having to do pre-recorded content, and it's much more high quality. Hopefully, the microphone sounds good as well. I'm planning on going outside and interviewing people about how to use their technology. But let's talk about the Claude using ChatGPT, taking on ChatGPT for their Super Bowl ads. Hopefully, the Seahawks win. So ChatGPT is has added advertisements to their platform. We've talked about that. Uh, Claude is saying, no, we don't want to do that. Claude is one of the more annoying chatbots, in my opinion. Claude it's very expensive. You only get 5 free chats, and then you have to go pay for it. You try to get Claude to do something, or like, no, I don't want to do this. No, it's unethical. No, I can't do this. So it's not really useful for what I want to do. Not because I'm an unethical person who's going around doing illegal things with artificial intelligence. It's just that it's super, super censored, and there is things that you could do that are, I guess, theoretically illegal on chatbot, but it's not up to the chatbot to decide. What I've said this before, these chatbots and these companies do shouldn't be mandating what you should be doing. It doesn't really make that much sense to me. Like, I want to build a keylog in Grok. I built a keylog in Grok last year, and I think my account got suspended on the website that I use, not Grok, but the Farms website that I use to send it my keylog data, which is that's actually pretty interesting that they were able to detect that. Maybe they saw my article. It's a very popular article, very popular video, but you guys can look that up for you, and I put out this information for you because I trust you and I believe in my fans. If you guys go out and commit some crime, don't get caught. And if you do get caught, you can't blame me. I didn't tell you to go out there and commit a crime. I just told you, here's the technology that you can use to do it. And that's it. I didn't say go commit a crime. Guys, don't commit crimes. I'm very anti-crime. No one is more anti-crime on the internet than me. And in fact, I would be in favor of the police going around and scanning TikTok and Instagram for all these idiots. These are some idiots on the internet, of course, who run around and film themselves doing crimes, like taking Tide. They'll take Tide or whatever detergent that they're using, and they'll pour all the excess into some other barrel so then the Tide can that they stole from has less, and the one that they are taking is super full. They think that Walmart or Tide or whatever companies are stealing from you, when they don't realize that the air has to be in there so that it doesn't, spill over, or so that it can easily transmit. It doesn't matter. The only way this is not illegal is if you buy the second one that you stole from. You are stealing from Walmart. You're stealing from the detergent companies, and you're stealing from your fellow customers, people that you are claiming to help. And these people should be locked up. They should be put in jail. And these are some of the dumbest people. They're probably danger to themselves and to the world, because anyone who commits a crime and then publicly posts it to the internet, I mean, that is low IQ, low IQ. 70 IQ move, and it's for the good of this nation and for the good of themselves, quite frankly. The people who post themselves committing crime to the internet intentionally, right? Not like, oh, I didn't know that was a crime. Nah, this is theft. Okay, that's a crime in every jurisdiction. This is a crime in every state. It's a crime in every city, except for California. But it is a crime, and you, well, it's now a crime in California. Yeah, they changed the law, but wasn't until a few months ago. But I digress. It is a crime. It is a very basic crime. It's not like you posted tax evasion or something. It's not like you posted yourself jaywalking where you thought there was a crosswalk, but there wasn't. No, you posted theft. You should be arrested, obviously. But talking about Claude, Claude should be used and given to these people. Claude would tell them, guys, don't do this. This is very highly illegal. But Claude, unfortunately, is very overly censored. And because they're very overly censored, you have to keep prompting, which that's probably the business model, because Claude thinks that they only sell five chats per, I think, hour or day usage session, whatever. I don't use them a lot because I'm not going to pay for Claude, because even if I did pay for Claude and I got all the chats I wanted, it barely works for my use cases. Okay, because they'll be keep censoring, and they'll keep saying, "Oh, this is that and the other." Grok is much better. Gemini, it's getting better. It's getting better from where it started. ChatGPT, it's pretty good. Claude, no, but Claude is basically the virtue signaling AI chatbot of the internet. Grok is the, I guess, uncensored one. Grok is the one that goes out there. It's a little bit wild. Sometimes you gotta rein it in. Sometimes you gotta, make a few laws to rein in Grok. Sometimes I have some scandal. Sometimes we go across the internet and start praising historical figures that should never be praised under any circumstances. Sometimes we'll start generating images that people don't like, but it is the most useful. It is the most empathetic. It is the most high tech, in my opinion. And it is, well, in my case, I do pay for it with my X subscription, so I can't tell you how unrate limited it is. And for images, it's getting better. It used to be peak. It used to be peak back in 2024. Then they did some sort of update. It was trash. It was trash. Like all the skin tones looked all like super bright and blotchy. Like you took a picture, it looked like you turned up the contrast and brightness by 10. I have no idea what was happening. The blonde hair looked like it was trying to glow in the dark. Uh, you could make it go all the way down the contrast, like if in post editing, you could still see that thing. If you ever lost, guys, just have Grok from like a year ago generate blonde hair. You will be able to see a helicopter above you and signal it for help, guys. So that's very useful. If you ever have Grok but no internet and need to generate blonde hair, that is a good tip. And it's probably gonna get clipped anyway. Claude, if you ever are trapped. Oh well, too bad for you, but I hope that it solves the question in 5 prompts. But Claude is the virtue signaling. They talk about ethics. They talk about morality, etc. But they don't actually care about that. They are against advertisements, etc., etc. They're just annoying. I think of Claude as the annoying uh, aunt that basically tells you what you can and can't do. The person who tells you to pick up your clothes and stuff, and sometimes it's good, but they don't let you do anything. Claude is a helicopter chatbot. Claude Claude is a virtue signaling helicopter chatbot, and it doesn't have anything to help back it up to help defend it. It's not like artificial intelligence chatbot. They all grow on trees right now. This is the golden age of artificial intelligence. And before I talk about these advertisements that are replacing the ChatGPT and into Claude, this is the golden age of artificial intelligence. Anyone who's saying it's not a bubble is probably lying to you. I do believe that artificial intelligence is a bubble. It most certainly is. You have all these chatbots that are popping up with money that investors are giving to it, but these investors are not charities. These investors are people who want to make more money back onto their money. And I'm not really seeing how. No one's going to be paying for this. No one's going to be paying for Claude. Maybe the only way I can see is enterprises paying for it. Like, enterprises pay for like WinZip or WinRAR or something like that. They pay for Microsoft Office. They pay for all these enterprise level softwares that no one really uses. Well, people use Microsoft Office, but people get that for free. Creative Cloud. People pirate that illegally. Unfortunately, people go to Canva, people go to the other third-party alternatives, but Adobe's still in business because they have a perpetual subscription license, and big companies buy them. The schools train people on them, and the third-party alternatives are not that good, especially in the FOSS world. Everyone's, oh guys, use Inkscape. Oh guys, I use Thunderbird. Oh guys, I use Mozilla. All these FOSS software, the FOSS people, the Linux people are sometimes the most annoying people on planet Earth, and the software just isn't that good. It's not up to par. So the only way I can see this with artificial intelligence is if it becomes integrated so deeply ingrained into daily life that we're using it in everything, which I can see that happening, right? The internet did that as well. We used to have multiple networks. We had T1 lines. We had satellite networks. I talked about this today on a podcast. I don't know if it's when it's coming out, but I talked about this, how we had different networks back in the 80s and the 90s because out of necessity, the internet did not support the bandwidth needed to do something like this, like broadcasting, live streaming, TV communication. So you found other networks, so you built off the ones that you already have, like the phone system, and later the satellite system. Well, with artificial intelligence, maybe it will become ingrained in everyday life, but pre-2022, without generative artificial intelligence, your phone was fine. Going from an iPhone 11 to an iPhone 17 might feel a little bit faster. The camera obviously are going to be better, but in terms of artificial intelligence, you can run the same ChatGPT client on iPhone 11 and you can on the same iPhone 17. Maybe the application will open up a little bit faster. I'm not sure about that. Maybe if you're in 5G, you might load a little faster. Again, not really sure about that. Maybe we can do some speed tests, but that's a 6-year improvement. When we talk about overall 15 to 17, 14 to 16, or Samsung Galaxy S23 to S25, and later S26 that's coming out now, we might not be seeing that many improvements. So if artificial intelligence got taken out right now, would the world collapse? I'm not really seeing something like that. No, maybe in 10 years would the world collapse? Maybe, right? If the internet got taken out in the 90s, no one would notice. If the internet got taken out in 2026, everyone would notice. So maybe we'll become super reliant on this. Maybe it's going to be integrated into software that we use in our day-to-day lives, such that nothing really works anymore. That could be possible. Maybe web design programmers is going to stop being taught because it makes sense. You could just go into a website and tell it to code it yourself. Why would I pay you to do that? It makes zero sense. Uh, so maybe it goes on to enterprise and then the users get to reap the benefits for free. I'm not really seeing that on the internet. Everything that exists is free, uses ads. Everything. I can't really think of anything that's not free that doesn't use ads or sell data. And if it doesn't use ads or sell data, you have to go out and pay for the product. Unless it's like a false software that they, my guys, you're libertarian, nothing should cost money, guys. In my basement, also donate money to me because I'm poor and I actually need to eat. And food to be free, socialism. Like no, yeah. But other than people like that whose software is probably very bad, and when they die, it's not going to have any support. It's just the software is gonna die along with them, and no one uses the software at all. Increasingly annoying. Other than that, you all need to pay, or you're gonna have to have advertisements. I'm not really seeing how the artificial intelligence bubble is going to be good. How it's going to stay because these investors are going to want their money back. And I'm not paying ChatGPT money. I'm not paying Claude money. I'm not paying any of the other 20 random AI websites money. I'm not paying any of these image generation websites money. And yes, some of these are just basically wrappers that use the underlying technology of OpenAI. But I'm still not going to be paying. I'm not paying them money, right? Now maybe if it's integrated into technology that we use, like say a video editor, like Opus Clip. I don't see any competitors to them. Maybe they can have something like that. Maybe we'll see more content being created and produced with artificial intelligence that looks good because that is what matters to me. I don't really care about the heart behind the content. When we talk about a painting, Right? Oh, guys, wow, look how beautiful this painting is. Look at the brush strokes. Wow, what really went into that? It's worth $1 million. The only thing that I care about is that it's worth $1 million. I don't care who made it. I don't care how it was made. I don't care how many years it took them. I just care it doesn't look good, I guess. I don't care about paintings that much. The only art that I care about would be realistic 3D or image generation technology, or I guess in real life. I don't care what a painting looks like. No one cares what a painting looks like. And I don't care who made it, unless maybe it's like my family member. The only thing I care about is its worth, which is only worth what other people say said painting is worth. Okay, a painting that is worth $2 million does not use $2 million worth of wood, canvas, and paint. Okay, 500 max. Okay, so it's just people's name recognition and I guess what's it called? Name recognition and skill, talent, I guess. And these people, it's sometimes abstract art. You know, a banana taped to a wall is not talent. Now, if you can get $6 million for taping a banana to a wall, more power to you. Congratulations. We all love capitalism on this channel. You're not going to see anyone criticizing capitalism for me. Look, if you can rip off some random wealthy art investor and cry about, oh, guys, we're so oppressed. Guys, this is a lesson I'm trying to teach the world. No one cares. But if you can rip them off for a good $6 or $7 million, congratulations. Congratulations. If I sold a painting for $6 million, I'd be super serious. Yeah, guys, this is the banana. This is the banana. But I don't have $6 million to spend on worthless, useless paintings, and I don't know anyone who's dumb enough to buy a worthless, useless painting. No, that was made by me, or banana taped to a wall that was made by me. Look, my siblings or parents or people that I'm directly related to were extremely famous artists, and they made millions of dollars by selling a painting. Yeah, obviously that would mean something to me. If I was an adult and I was a parent and I had a kid and he made a painting, obviously that would mean something to me because the people around me in my life mean something to me personally. But some random person down the street, oh, you made a beautiful painting. I don't give a crap. How is that my problem? I don't care that you made a painting. I don't care if the computer made a painting. I just care if it looks good. And I don't care about paintings for the sake that it is a painting. Congratulations. We have these things called television. Televisions are a lot more interesting than paintings. Samsung is making these the framed TVs so you can display famous paintings. That is smart. You can have thousands, maybe even millions of paintings displaying on your wall. Or you can for like what, $2,000, or you can have one painting displaying for hundreds, maybe even thousands of dollars. Paintings aren't even that interesting. Like, okay, the only thing that they're interesting for is their monetary value and their investment potential. Maybe you can give people money with it, but it's a painting. I don't really care about the intrinsic value of art. No, no one does. And the only value that I see in this is if I'm making a graphic in Canva and I need something, I'll go out there and try to find it. I'm going to go out there and try to find it for free. Oh, some people lost their jobs making paintings. Well, well, yeah, that's unfortunate. You can't always get what you want. Like, no one cares. Well, all right, anyway, talking about back to Claude, who says that they're not going to have advertising, just going to rely on their partners to help sell it. All right, we'll see what they have to say about this. Claude is taking a Super Bowl shot at this. They're doing a Super Bowl ad, which hopefully not burning through all the money that they have left. OpenAI does not make money, or they make money, but they're not profitable. There's no path to profitability for them until 2030, which is still 4 years from now, because obviously people are using ChatGPT for free, and they run out of prompts on the free version, or if they're not signed in, then you can just go and find the random browser version. So what I'm thinking is the artificial intelligence is going to move to a more local distribution channel. We have the RAM, we have the processing power in our computers. A change is coming. Right. We've been using the same processing power in our computers. I was reading this about someone saying that they switched from iPhone 15 to a 17. It's like, have phones peaked? I don't notice any new differences in my day-to-day. I've been seeing people with phones across this campus. Someone even had an iPhone 10, maybe a 10s. That is a phone that's almost 10 years old, the iPhone 10. One of the most iconic phones. I was so stressed when it came out because my argument was that Samsung was better because the number was higher. That was one of my arguments. They skipped the number because Apple can't count. So the S9 was before the Samsung Galaxy, the iPhone 10. So the iPhone had to leave, and then Samsung was like, nope, we're not doing this anymore. We're going to make the 10. We're going to make the 20. Good for Samsung. But that's neither here nor there. All these phones basically do the same thing. They use the same application. We talked about this multiple times. They all use the same top 5 applications. TikTok, TikTok again. In the video game industry, let's look at the top charts again. I like doing this. The top charts in the video game industry. The number one game is still Block Blast. Wow, congratulations, guys. A game from the 80s is still reigning supreme. A game from the 80s, which was made by communists. We should not be allowing these communists video games into our application stores. That's just me. But there's that. But anyway, back to Claude taking the Super Bowl shot. ChatGPT user growth has slowed. They only have 100 million users, which is a lot, but I mean, they still need more. Google's Gemini is coming back despite a rocky start, and Claude is advertising that they will not have advertisements in its chatbot. Claude is famously censored, only allows 5 free chats before forcing users to pay. And Anthropic is profitable, of course, because they're focusing on B2B customers who are more interested in using Claude, maybe for their day-to-day work. Maybe they like to feel good about themselves. It's kind of like how people put on those stickers. Oh, guys, this is 100% eco-friendly, made out of vegan method, made out of recycled turtle shells. I don't know. But recycled aluminum cans that actually is made out of cow dung, guys. And that's why it costs $30. The environmental movement is obviously a scam. People like to use it so they can make lots of money off of gullible people. They make stuff out of trash products that they found like in a dumpster. You can actually make an eco startup basically saying, hey guys, we go around the dumpster and reclaim. They're like lots of our words: reduce, reuse, recycle, reclaim. We reclaim the junk that people throw out and we restore it for a better, bigger, brighter, more renewable future. And all they're doing is basically dumpster diving and making trash products and then upselling it, which it's a good scam. It's a good scam. But Claude is not very popular among the youths, among the normie people. ChatGPT has 50% of the United States teenagers. Character AI, which is mid at best and isn't really used for research or searching, is basically your pocket best friend, is used by 9% of United States teenagers, which is still 3 times more than Claude. And we need to be capturing the hearts and minds of these people on these platforms if they want to become profitable. But OpenAI is going towards ads. Claude is going towards teenagers. They're going towards B2B. I'm not really sure how popular that's going to be. Not really sure how profitable that's going to be. We'll see how it plays out. But that might be the way. I think we're going to be heading towards a showdown between local LLMs versus online LLMs, and we're only going to be seeing a few of them. This is truly the golden age of artificial intelligence. I do see something happening in the middle. We have these things like home servers. You have the Plex server, which you can show people television shows, and you have home servers that can feed you files. They used to have these things back in the early 2000s on computers with your home group. They took that away for some reason. I mean, you can kind of still do it, but no one really does it on the computer. If you're going to do something like this, they usually go out there and buy a dedicated server, like a Plex server or a home NAS, and it holds all of your files across your Wi-Fi, so you can access them on any device as long as it's on your Wi-Fi network. I can kind of see something like that happening with artificial intelligence as well. Just like you have a Wi-Fi router, you can have your own supercomputer, essentially, family AI profile that's accessed across the internet, or across your Wi-Fi, not across the internet, unless you get support for it. And you have your own family AI chatbot. It has, say, I don't know, 64, 128 gigabytes of RAM. Maybe not that much storage, come to think about it. Unless you wanted to store the history, maybe you could store history on device. And you only have to pay for it once. Maybe it's $500. Maybe it's $700. Maybe this is what we can be using all these computers for. Maybe people are building huge gaming computers, building huge gaming setups, and all they do in there is game, which is fine, I guess. But when you look at the state of the gaming industry, it's we're not really seeing much. We're not really seeing much that appeals to a wide range of people. And artificial intelligence appeals to a more broad range of people, which means it's going to be more interesting to invest in and more useful to the general populace than, say, a video game, which is why I always say that artificial intelligence is better than a video game. The only argument people have been able to give me about, oh, artificial intelligence is driving up RAM prices. Okay, what do you need the RAM for? Oh, I need this to play a game. Well, I mean, If I was given the choice between artificial intelligence and a video game, I'm choosing artificial intelligence 100% of the time. Full send off-road says, "Watch up, tech boy. Hello, full send off-road. Did you have any questions, comments, videos that you wanted me to react to? What was your thoughts on artificial intelligence versus the video games?" Hey, like artificial intelligence can generate me a video game character. It can make me my own video game that I can play. And hopefully the image generation technology gets good enough that we can have our own 3D little simulation game. That'd be amazing. You can have your character customization, you can have your outfits. I think it would be great. Something that's not The Sims. So yeah, that is those are our headlines for today. But let's dive into the Gospel Coalition, talking about generational narcissism. Now I know that you guys are not fans of the Gospel Coalition. Oh, hello, Jacob. Um, I know that you guys are not fans of the Gospel Coalition, and that's fine. All right, the Gospel Coalition and what's it called, Christianity Today, or some people call them Christianity Ashtray, are not that good anymore. The reporting isn't that good. The reporting is boring. It's very one-sided. It's not that interesting. However, it is a lot more high quality than the Christian Post and I guess some of the news websites. There not that many Christian news websites, come to think about it. I've been really into that sector and into that sphere, and I haven't really seen any. I think that Christians need to get better with technology, and that's what I want to help drive. I want to help drive progress with this as well. We don't really see many Christian news websites. World News is pretty good. Like World Magazine, World News, Megan Bastion used to work there. But these websites that are ideologically slightly different are much more high quality than what we're seeing. That is what I'll say. Like I like these websites a lot. I wrote an article about this. It's not published yet, but it's coming out. But most of this commentary is basically reacting to people talking about, oh, it's on X. Oh, okay, like, oh, guys, look at this website reacting to what's happening over on X. Guys, look what happened. What happened on X? It's so bad. Like, okay, that's cool, but like not very interesting. Uh, and sometimes even a broken clock, even a blind squirrel can find a nut. Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Even a blind squirrel can tell time once while standing in a tree. And I think that the Gospel Coalition hit it absolutely right here. The generational narcissism of always thinking that we face the biggest crisis ever. And I do think that evangelicals like to hype up a lot of things on both sides. So let's say you're an evangelical and you're at a conference. Every summer, when kids come back to college campuses, CBN News releases some article like, guys, 7,000 kids got baptized at this college. A revival is sweeping America. 2024. A revival is sweeping America. 2025. A revival is sweeping America. 2026. You see this. It's like clockwork every time. And you'll talk about something that happened that's prophetic. This is the last days, the end times. But, that's actually pretty interesting. I like what's that book called? Left Behind. I like all the Dispy stuff. I'm interested into that, but I can call out. I can call that out. Guys, it's not the end times. It's not. Oh, guys, the United States bombed the country, guys. The end times is nigh. Okay, bro. Um, and this article is talking about the flip side of this, how evangelicals, rather than saying, well, revelation is coming now, revival is with us in the building, we are so back. It's kind of like those videos of all the sorority girls dancing, and the people are like, guys, Joe Biden wouldn't allow this. I'm like, oh, okay, guys. As much as we dislike him, I don't think Joe Biden was running around telling people, guys, sorority girls, you can't dance with the American flag. That never happened. Like, okay, yeah, America's back because some kid from ASU danced. Congratulations. I am so glad that the Alabama sorority girls can dance. America is so back. And, I'm not criticizing them. I'm not criticizing the dancing. As I've said, we don't criticize our allies. I know Crispy Marie Lamond is breaking down, weeping, crying about this, but, I don't care what some random Canadian who doesn't show a face on the internet has to say about anything, quite frankly. The only thing I care about is starting wars with Crispy Marie Lamont so that we can get more followers. It's so beautiful. But what we were talking about is CBN News basically hypes up Christianity, which is good. You should be hyping it up. They hype up all these changes, revival, revolution, other things that start with R. Well, some people online also are kind of doomers. Oh, it's never been so over. It's over, guys. Christianity is cooked. We're under attack. The Bible is under attack. We're being oppressed. It's so over, guys. It's never been worse than it is now. No one's coming to church. The church is fake. I'm like, okay, okay, guys. The outrage is with us. The outrage is with us. I will say that. And we're talking about the generational narcissism that we see facing the biggest crisis ever. In Christianity today, again, a blind squirrel, a broken nut, began a series a little more than a year ago that traces all 70 years throughout the magazine's history. And I think that those magazines were probably a lot more interesting back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s than they were in now today. There were a lot more Christian content, especially geared towards teenagers and youth. In like the early 2000s, it's so cool. Overcome, Adventures in Odyssey, like it's kind of like new technology that you're talking about, and purity culture, which is very funny, very interesting. And am I for it? 75-25, 75-25, I'd say I'm for it. Obviously, we were out debating them on things of like outfits, but other than the outfits, which we can obviously out debate them on, else, obviously, right? Sarah Stock, yeah, see, if Sarah Stock had followed purity culture, this wouldn't be happening to her right now. Or at least she shouldn't have gotten caught. Freaking idiots. Anyway, let's talk about Christianity today. They're talking about basically the world never changes. They talk about sexual chaos and technological fear. This is from 1965. Every American dedicated to the common decency become morally indignant and let this indignation burn righteously in an articulate protest against the exploitation of sex that is unparalleled in the history of the world. Oh, okay. And never before in human civilization has sex been so pervasively prostituted to financial gain, but the technological possibilities were not present until our time. What technological possibilities is he talking about, bro? A black and white television camera? Well, okay. Anyway, and you see all these freakouts that are happening back in the 60s and the 70s, and they're always talking about technology. It is the high time that our churches awaken to the kind of material that's being circulated to teenagers. Notice how teenagers are spelled. And young adults of both sexes sold openly at drugstores and newsstands under the guise of sophistication and respectability. And they talk about this multiple times. I'm not going to read the article. You can read it yourself. And they talk about how evangelicals have basically been freaking out about the same stuff over and over and over again for 70 years since Christianity today has existed, and they've been freaking out about technology for every time. And here's my stance on technology from generative artificial intelligence to computers to the internet. It's fine. Just don't do anything illegal or illicit with it, and you'll be fine with it. Everyone uh, in the world now, back when they were talking about these articles about the technological possibilities for premarital sex back in the 60s or whatever, I guess with black and white television. I don't know what they were doing on that. I don't want to know what they were doing on that and magazines and newsstands are freaking out about that, and freaking out about technological innovations and advancements, and freaking out about nuclear winter, and freaking out about nuclear war. My message to you guys is that we will all be fine for the people freaking about AI is going to take all the jobs. AI is going to take over the world. AI is the Antichrist. No, it is not. I do believe that we will find new solutions and new ways to solve present problems, just like they were able to find new solutions and new ways to solve the present problems. And if they didn't find solutions to problems, they just moved on and kept talking about it. Is Are the issues that they talked about in the 50s and 60s in Christianity today from these excerpts? I don't have a subscription. Still relevant today? Probably mostly. Or and can the church still fight them today? Probably mostly. But do we need to sit around and be concerned and scared and nervous about this? Nervous about AI? Nervous about computers? Nervous that people sit around and play video games and are on social media? No. Right? The common evangelical thing is to blame social media and the internet and technology for literally everything that is wrong with society. And it doesn't really make sense to me. If you go into any youth group service in America today, I guarantee you there's going to be some sort of mention of social media and how the internet is corrupting young minds. I'm in this group chat. I don't want to leak anybody, but it is filled with domestic terrorists. I'm going to say they want to burn the artificial intelligence data centers. They want to they want to blow them up because there was some stupid survey that came out saying that Gen Z is dumber than the generation that were addicted to our cell phones. And look, the church can and should drive innovation. They can and should drive new outlets for teenagers to do. Plan events, have them be interesting, make them gospel centered, give them ministries to do, schools, give them something to do that's useful, not standing outside in the snow and having a protest. Give them something to do that's useful, something that they're interested in. But quite frankly, we're running out of new things to innovate. Now, I'm sure there's more new things to innovate. I am sure that there are. But every new form of technology is not of the devil. The RFID chips are not the mark of the beast. And even if they were, you won't be raptured before that even happens. So how is that even relevant? How is that relevant? If you chip yourself with an RFID chip right now and you are still Christian, you will go to heaven when you die. But when you go talk about the evangelicals that blame social media and the internet for everything, they blame it for people seeing and being exposed to illicit content, which is obviously bad. Just have age verification technology on those websites. I have never been exposed to it in all 19 years. So, either I'm extremely or insanely lucky, or I'm just good at using the internet. I don't know. And I've been on here since I was 8. So, 11-year streak. I and then people are blaming social media, and I used to be one of these people, but I was 12%. They claim it's rotting people's brains. Okay, let's take social media away. Representative Anna Paula Luna, who is famous for taking a picture in a swimsuit before she became a representative from Florida or something. I'm pretty sure all the representatives from Florida have pictures on swimsuits. It's not really relevant. Okay, not to be. What are we doing? Okay, we don't need to be crying about this. Like I said, we don't criticize our allies, but she wants to ban social media for people under the age of 13, ban algorithmic social media for people under the age of 17. Which why? Why would you do that? The TikTok algorithm is trash. I don't know why everyone was saying it was super good. After TikTok transferred ownership to the great United States of America, I decided to download the application, look at it. It's interesting, I guess. I've been trying to find a bunch of influencers on Canvas, searching the Canvas hashtag, and trying to find out who they were, find out what's going on, find out what's interesting, because I will become a great influencer, the great communicator, the great influencer. But the Instagram algorithm is pretty interesting, except for it loves all 192 countries, except for one, Israel. RIP Israel. If you are Israeli on the Instagram application, I'd help you. Because they hate you. they hate you a lot. But the Instagram algorithm is pretty good. Unless it's about Israel, then it's you're a bit skewed. And there's a Super Bowl ad where there's a sticker about something being Jewish. And all I'm going to say about this is, as Joe Namath once said, I guarantee you Instagram will never be the same. We worse off. Obviously, the Instagram comment section on these people is a literal clan rally. Okay, white supremacists in the 60s and the 1860s would be weeping if they saw what was happening in weeping with joy if they saw what was happening in the Instagram comment section. So, Anna Paula Luna, maybe you want to look into that. No, guys, I don't want censorship. That's a joke. But if there's anything that you want to look into, but algorithmic bans, do you know what that means? Most of these people, and that's why I like talking about technology, especially in context of the church and in political advocacy, is that these websites, especially the more conservative leaning websites, they all have obviously people who are a lot older, like in the 60s, in the 80s. Newsmax basically says, guys, we're a news channel for 65 plus. We have boomer power. And we love Newsmax, but I'm not like I hope that you don't run out of people, but there was that. But that means they're going to be given, not on the fault of Newsmax, because on the Newsmax website and some of these other websites, yeah, they don't select the advertisers. Advertisers select themselves. Then we're going to be getting kind of scams. They're going to be getting scams. They always try to rip them off. And when they talk about the Facebook memes trash, guys. Guys, sure, your Facebook meme might be accurate, it might be true, but please, for the love of all that's good, do not put a red square and then put text on it and then say, guys, look at this. That's not how the meme. That's not how memes work, guys. I don't know why the Facebook people are so on the way that they are. I don't know why they can't make a meme to save their life. I don't know why they can't use the technology that's at their disposal, but it makes them ripe and open for scams. And the church, of course, is hesitant with technology. They feel very shaky. They feel very scared on how technology is, even though basically every middle of the road evangelical organization comes down to this. Guys, you should use technology to glorify God and not use it to do bad things. AI is useful, but it can also be bad. Like, okay. But they put in like thousands of words, the whole think piece. It's a whole thing. Uh, but I they don't really know what they're doing, and that's why I come in to help. Let's talk about social media. Algorithmic social media means that the algorithm. Everyone likes to blame the algorithm. They like to blame AI. They like to blame things that are outside of their control for all the problems in their lives. Even though you can go out, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, and take control of your own life. The only person who's in control of your life is you, and ultimately God. Right. So if you don't like how it's going, either pray or take a look at yourself and fix your life. Uh, and also, I hear that social media is being banned. Social media are being sued for being addicting to children. I'm not really sure how it's illegal to make a product good. Guys, we made a product too good. We're getting sued for it. Like, do you want people to use it or not? I don't understand what they're doing. But anyway, she wants to ban algorithmic social media. Obviously wrong. Algorithmic means it shows you videos and content that you want to watch, things that you have watched that you might be interested in, things that you engage with, you'll see more of that. And I would actually like to see more algorithmic driven content. Like, and they're like, oh, I can't see my friends. I can't find them. There's a friends tab. It's just not that good, which is why no one uses it. Or they don't spend a lot of time on the app. They could be doing something else. No one has been able to present an actual solution for what they could be doing outside of social media. No one. Oh, you can read a book? Okay, great. I like reading a book. It makes you smart. What are you going to do with that intelligence? What are you going to do with that? What are you going to do with the content that is in your book? That you learn from the book? No one really explains that. They say don't be a consumer, be a creator, and that's great. Lots of people create on social media, and I've actually advocated for this. There are more teenagers to be getting into this, and they should be using their ambition. There's this person who had thousands of followers only for a post. Get out there and make something of yourself. But these people are not going to be allowed and afforded the options that I had and squandered, unfortunately, and that we are taking actions to fix because they won't be given it. They won't be given the choice, and it's getting banned. You want to ban it in school? Why? How would you even do that? You want to ban a specific app in school? I don't know how. And the people in Congress, they don't know how it works. I hope it doesn't pass, and I hope that the companies that are getting sued win their lawsuit because Instagram should not be at fault for making a product that is good. They say that they're preying on children. I don't think that's the case. Obviously, you want children to use their platform. Obviously, that makes total sense. Of course, you want people to use your platform. But, hey, guys, we don't want people to use our platforms and services. So guess we're not going to use it. But what are we talking about? What are we talking about at this point? And the people, of course, in this group chat, they're like, we want to blow up the data centers. EU saves his country by you are not saving the country by blowing up the data centers. I think this is another thing, like we talked about Planeteer last week. People don't know exactly what they are. So you can kind of drum up anti-data center sentiment, anti-AI sentiment, anti-Planeteer sentiment amongst people by saying it's bad, saying it's um, stalky, saying it's bad, horrible for you. And it's not the best. It's not the best. It's not. It's not for the best. Well, I think that people sometimes play into this accidentally. They drive fear because fear drives clicks, and they're not against clicks. They just want the clicks for themselves, which is totally fine with me. Um, If anyone has any questions, we can talk about that. If not, then I guess we can end the show. Um, Hopefully there'll be more information to talk about later. But God bless. Tech talk to you later. Hope we can find some more Christian websites, tech websites. God bless.